Hi there and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to show you how to use Topaz Gigapixel AI version 7. So let's get started with an image. I'm just going to drag into the main interface here. So I've got the standalone version of Topaz Gigapixel loaded here. I'm just going to drag an image from either monitor on, and I'll put a link to this image in the description box so you can go and download it for free yourself. So this image is intentionally fairly low res. I downloaded a lower res version so I could sort of demonstrate these functionalities to you more easily. So I'm going to go through the settings one by one, talk you through it, and then we're going to go and actually upscale, apply the correct settings and show you the final result. So we've got the main window here with our image in the middle. If we go down to the bottom, first of all, you've got the actual file name for the open image here, and you can have multiple images open at once and it will display them all as separate lines. Then you've got the original size, which it says in this case is 914 by 1280 pixels. And then it's got what the upscale factor is there, which is saying 1 at the moment because we haven't changed any of the settings yet, so bear in mind. The output size next to it, which will then be what the output dimensions are once we've actually started to upscale the image, which AI model we ended up using, and then denoise amount, deblur amount, and then a couple of other indicators for some of the other settings, but I'll talk about those shortly. And then we've got 3 different preview modes. We've got single image to a screen. We've got a split screen, where once we've started doing the adjustments, you can drag to the left and to the right. And then we've got a side-by-side view. Okay, and then next to those, you've got a magnification level, zoom level. Now, this has got nothing to do with how much the image is being upscaled by. This is just how magnified or how zoomed in is your view of the current screen. So once I've started upscaling, I like to keep it 100% for most of the time, so you're seeing the pixels represented as accurately as possible on the screen. So if we go over to the right-hand side here, we'll start at the top. We've got a preview window. And this is a bit like a navigation panel. So when the image gets a lot larger, you can drag a box around this and actually just navigate the image quickly and easily instead of scrolling around on the main screen. Then we go down and we've got resize mode at the top. And next to that, there's a crop button. So I'm going to start with the crop button. So this is very simple. You click it and it gives you the opportunity to crop the image before you do any upscaling, to save you having to go into another software and do it in that separately. So fairly standard controls here. You can choose a preset ratio, or you can just drag the controls here and choose your crop accordingly. Then when it comes to the actual resize parameters here, you've got a couple of options for the type. You've got a scale, which underneath you can see 1x, 2, 4, 6x, and then a text box here. And then you've got a width and height option. So you can either scale by a multiplication factor, or you can type in a specific size if you've got a certain target to hit, and you can do that in pixels, inches, or centimeters. So let's just stick for scale at the moment. I'm just going to click 4x scale for the example in this video. I'm just going to put the zoom factor down to 1%. Now, you can go up to 6 as the defaults here, 1, 2, 4, and 6. It will let you go more if you type it in this box here, but the AI elements of Topaz Gigapixel only factor in up to and including 6x magnification. So if you choose to go higher than 6x, just note that after the point of it being enlarged by a factor of 6, there will no longer be any AI enhancement going on, so the quality may suffer as a result. But 6x magnification, 6x upscale is normally plenty for the majority of images you would find anyway. So we've got that set to 4. Now we'll come down to the next section, which is our AI model. Now this is where we choose which particular flavor of AI enhancement we would like to affect our upscale. And next to this box there's a little lightning bolt here with a little checkbox, a little slider. So if you click that, that's going to try to automatically choose what it deems to be the best AI model for the image you've loaded in. Now, personally, I find that a lot of the time I don't agree with this option and I do it manually. So I don't turn this on, but it's good as a beginner to do that and just see what it suggests and have a play around with it. So I'm just going to turn that off for the moment. And you've got various models here. You can see there's some V1s at the bottom. They're sort of more legacy ones from the older versions of Gigapixel. At the top, you've got standard V2 and high fidelity V2. These are the ones you would tend to use if you're starting images of a pretty good quality already. Even if it's fairly low resolution, you find that these two will be more suitable for the majority of photographic type images, or good quality AI generated images, that kind of thing. Then underneath you've got models suitable more for artwork, line work. If you've got anything like logos or vector type images where there's a lot of hard sharp lines, that would be perfect for that. Low resolution and very compressed, they are good for images that are either incredibly low resolution or have lots of compression artifacts built in. But for the general use, even if it's relatively low resolution like this image, so it's just over 1,000 pixels longest edge, I would typically not click on the low resolution button unless it was much lower than that. So those are the main AI models, and obviously feel free to click and try each one and see the type of results you get. When you click on a new parameter in here or you make an adjustment, it might just take a couple of seconds to actually update the screen, so just bear that in mind. So I'm going to leave it on high fidelity V2 at the moment, because in my personal experience that's one that seems to honor fine details well without over processing them. So things like hairs, fur, feathers, things like that, I find that high fidelity 2 deals with those very well. So on to the next section, which is settings below that. And again, it's got the same lightning bolt icon here, where you can click for it to sort of intelligently choose what it thinks you should be doing to the image. But I'm not going to do that. I'll talk you through these one by one. So you've got minor denoise, which is, as it sounds, it will help to reduce any excessive noise in the image or grain. This image is clean. I'm not seeing any excessive noise or grain, and I would advise that unless you do, I wouldn't put this up, because with these controls, if you're trying to bump the sliders up when that problem doesn't exist within the image particularly, it could be at the detriment of the quality of the image, and it might end up making it a bit softer and a bit blurrier. So if there's no excessive noise that you want to get rid of, then just leave that at 1. Minor deblur is a sharpen, basically. It's a fairly subtle sharpen, but it's quite useful for things like this, just to kind of tweak it. And this is where I like to be at 100% zoom down here, just so we're seeing the pixels represented sort of one-to-one on the screen, exactly how they should be. Again, don't go too crazy with this, because you can start to introduce some artifacts and things like that, but it is a fairly subtle zoom. A fairly subtle sharpen. It's not too aggressive, so I'm just going to leave it on that for the moment. And there's fixed compression, which is obviously if you've got any JPEG compression artifacts on your image. Sometimes it's hard to tell in the updated version, because it kind of reduces those compression artifacts as part of the upscale anyway. So if I click and hold down, which is a good point actually, to preview the before and after on the main screen like this, on the one screen view, just click and hold down your mouse button, the left mouse button, you can see now that's the pixelated original. So that's the original image, and that's the version with our upscale and different settings applied. And if we look around the wing here, now I am going to zoom in for this so we can see a bit more. If we look around here, you can see when I click and hold over the original to reveal the original image, you can see the compression artifacts kind of along the edge of the wing and just around the edges generally. Now, if I let go, you'll see those are mostly gone, even though the fixed compression slider hasn't been moved. And that's just because, like I said a moment ago, the AI model upscaling will actually take care of some of that anyway. But if you still see some little sort of artifacts around the edge where it's not quite been able to smooth them out anyway, I would use fixed compression here, and I would just drag it up just until you see those disappear, and then I wouldn't drag it anymore, because again, it might end up making the image too soft. Okay, So wait for it to update, and there we go. And down the bottom, we've got two more settings. We've got face recovery, which is specific to human faces, where it can try to resolve some of the details that may be a bit blurred out in sort of obscured things like that. I don't find it particularly useful. I think a lot of the time it actually makes faces look worse in a lot of considerations, but for this type of image, obviously completely irrelevant. And gamma correction, I've got to be honest here, I have never found this to be useful in any image. And it says under the settings that, or the tooltips, the AI will process the image in a higher color gamma space. For images with highly saturated colors, this can enhance AI outputs with more details and less color bleed. I've processed some pretty saturated images through this, and personally, I've found that never really helps. So I would just ignore that, to be honest. And then at the bottom, you've got save image. So when you click save image, that's obviously going to save it to your computer, your desktop, wherever you choose, and it will bring up an export settings window here where you can choose a prefix for the file names, a suffix for the file names, so you can basically have whatever you want added to the start and the end of the files it generates. You can save it to either the original folder that the image was from, in this case it's my computer desktop, or you can go browse and you can choose a specific folder for it to save into. And then format, you've obviously got a few different formats to choose from, JPEG, PNG, TIFF, or preserve image format, and then you can choose your quality, and you click save, and it'll save that to the desktop or wherever you've specified. Now, if you've got multiple images open here, because you could drag multiple images and process them all at once, it will then list all of the separate file names in that location, and will save them all in the same place.